The massive crystal tower at the center of the Galactic Council hummed with activity. Deep inside its walls, Murthok sat at her workstation, her 6 eyes focused on the glowing screen before her. As the Council's chief xenobiologist, she had processed first contact protocols from hundreds of new species over the years. Today felt like any other routine day. The communication array chimed, indicating a new transmission from the outer sectors. The signal originated from a small yellow star system in what the galactic maps labeled as Sector 7 Alpha. The third planet from the star had been sending out radio waves for several decades, but this was their first attempt at proper galactic communication. Murthok opened the file and began reading. The beings from this world called themselves humans, and their planet Earth. They had included the standard mathematical sequences that all new species use to prove their intelligence. These problems were carefully chosen by the Council, complex enough to show real understanding, but simple enough that any spacefaring civilization should solve them within a few months. She set the file aside and moved on to other work. In her experience, it would be at least 6 months before she heard back from these humans. Some species took years to work through the mathematical challenges. The problems included basic quantum mechanics, theoretical physics questions that had been solved by galactic science centuries ago, and a few puzzles about spacetime that usually took even advanced civilizations several weeks to figure out. 4 hours later, her computer chimed again. Murthok looked at the timestamp in confusion. The return message was from the same human sender, someone called Lee from the Sol 3 mathematical team. Surely this was just a follow-up question or a request for clarification. New species always needed help understanding the problems properly. She opened the file and felt her heart skip a beat. Every single problem had been solved. Not just answered, but solved, with detailed explanations and mathematical proofs that were more elegant than the Council's own solution methods. The humans had completed in hours what should have taken months, but that was not the worst part. At the bottom of their response, the humans had added a friendly note. Thanks for the puzzles. These were really fun to work on. We finished them during lunch break and wondered if you had any harder ones. We also noticed some inefficiencies in the quantum mathematics you used in problem 7, so we included some improvements. Hope this helps. Looking forward to meeting you all. Humanity Murthok's tentacles began shaking as she scrolled through the attached files. The humans had not only solved the Council's problems, but had improved upon the fundamental mathematics used to create them. They had identified flaws in equations that had been used by galactic civilization for thousands of years. She quickly opened the most complex attachment. Her eyes widened in shock. The humans had sent blueprints for a quantum stabilizer that was 30% more efficient than anything in the galactic database. The design was so advanced that she could barely understand how it worked, yet the explanations were written in simple, friendly language as if they were sharing a recipe for food. Chief Analyst Vextel to Xenobiology Lab, came a voice through her communicator. Are you seeing this transmission from Sector 7 Alpha? Yes, Murthok replied, her voice barely a whisper. How quickly did your team verify the mathematics? 3 minutes. Vextel's voice was tense. Murthok, they solved the Heisenberg recursion. That problem has puzzled our best minds for 2,000 years. These humans worked it out and then suggested improvements to our methodology. Murthok felt cold fear creeping through her body. In all her years of processing first contact protocols, she had never seen anything like this. Most species struggled with basic concepts when they first reached out to the galaxy. These humans were casually rewriting fundamental laws of physics as if they were correcting spelling mistakes. She pulled up the threat assessment protocols on her secondary screen. The Galactic Council had developed a classification system for new species based on their potential danger level. Most civilizations ranked between levels 1 and 3. The highest classification on record was level 6, reserved for the ancient warlike species that had nearly destroyed 2 solar systems before being contained. Murthok's hands trembled as she filled out the assessment form. Cognitive abilities, off the scale. Technological innovation, unprecedented. Potential for disruption of galactic stability, maximum. She paused at the final classification field. Every instinct told her these humans were not malicious. Their communications were friendly, even cheerful. They seemed genuinely excited to meet other species and share knowledge. But their casual ability to revolutionize galactic science in a few hours made them perhaps the most dangerous species the Council had ever encountered. Emergency classification, she whispered into her communicator. Cognitive hazard level 7. Begin containment protocols immediately. As she sent the report up to the Council chambers, Murthok wondered if they were already too late. Somewhere in the distant Sol system, the humans were probably working on their next project, completely unaware that they had just become the galaxy's newest existential threat. The friendly transmission from Captain Kim of the human vessel Pioneer continued broadcasting toward the galactic center, spreading mathematical solutions and cheerful greetings to anyone listening. The research station synthesis drifted silently through space. its gleaming hull now dark, except for the emergency lights flickering red along its corridors. Chief Engineer Talvesh pressed his forehands against the main console, watching the readings with growing despair. The quantum drive core that powered their station was dying, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Containment field strength down to 12%, reported his assistant Kexri, her voice tight with fear. Core temperature rising beyond safe limits. Talvesh looked at the main display showing the drive chamber. The massive crystal at the center of their power system was cracking, releasing deadly quantum radiation that would kill any living thing. Within 100 kilometers, his people had 15 minutes before the entire station would explode in a burst of exotic energy that could destroy nearby planets. Send the evacuation signal, he ordered. All personnel to escape pods immediately. As the alarm echoed through the station, Talvesh remained at his post. Someone had to monitor the final moments and send data back to their homeworld. Perhaps their deaths would help prevent this disaster from happening again. That was when his sensors detected an approaching ship. Unknown vessel. This is Research Station Synthesis. He transmitted quickly. Do not approach. We have a quantum drive failure in progress. Radiation levels are lethal to all known life forms. The response came immediately in accented but clear galactic standard. This is Captain Park of the human vessel Defiance. We received your distress signal and are moving to assist. Talvesh felt his blood chill. Humans, the species that had been classified as a galactic threat just weeks ago. Captain Park, you must stay away. Our drive core will explode in 14 minutes. The radiation will kill you instantly. We understand the danger, came the calm reply. Our engineer Cho is already suiting up. We have dealt with quantum drive problems before. Before Talvesh could respond, the human ship appeared on his visual sensors. It was unlike any vessel he had ever seen, angular and ugly, with strange modifications welded to its hull. Parts of it looked like it had been repaired using scrap metal and random materials. No proper civilization would build something so crude. Preparing to dock at your maintenance port, announced Captain Park. Please clear the area around the drive chamber. Impossible, Talvesh transmitted desperately. No organic being can survive in that radiation field. Our own engineers would die in seconds, even with full protection suits. Already figured that out, came the cheerful reply. Give us 10 minutes. Through his security cameras, Talvesh watched in amazement as a human emerged from their ship. The being called HFY War would appear to be a standard environmental suit, but it had been modified with dozens of strange additions. Kitchen appliances were welded to the chest plate. Cooking pots had been attached to the helmet. Strips of metallic tape covered every joint and seam. What are those modifications? Talvesh asked, unable to hide his curiosity despite their desperate situation. Coffee filters, replied Cho as he walked toward the drive chamber. They filter out quantum radiation just like they filter coffee grounds. Amazing what you can do with basic materials. Talvesh watched in growing horror and fascination as the human entered the deadly chamber. The radiation readings on his screen showed levels that should have killed any organic being instantly. Yet Cho moved around casually, examining the failing drive crystal as if he were inspecting a broken appliance. I see the problem, Cho announced through his communicator. The quantum harmonics are destabilized. Your crystal is resonating at the wrong frequency. Should be easy to fix. What happened next defied every principle of engineering that Talvesh had learned in his 30 years of experience. The human began wrapping the drive crystal with metallic tape, the same substance humans apparently used to repair everything on their ships. Then he attached several of the coffee filter devices to key points around the chamber. Now comes the tricky part, Cho muttered. Need to redirect some gravitational force to stabilize the quantum field. Talvesh watched in disbelief as the human pulled out a handheld device and pointed it toward the nearby moon. Somehow, the human was manually adjusting gravitational fields as if they were simple controls on a machine. The fundamental forces of the universe bent to his will, like obedient tools. The radiation readings began dropping immediately. The drive crystal stopped cracking and began glowing with steady, healthy light. Within minutes, all systems showed green across his control board. There we go, announced Cho brightly, his suit still covered in impossible substances that should not exist. Should hold for a few centuries now. We also improved the efficiency by about 30% while we were at it. Your people might want to upgrade their other stations with this design. Talvesh stared at his readings in shock. The drive was not just repaired, it was working better than when the station was first built. The human had casually improved technology that had remained unchanged for thousands of years, using kitchen supplies and tape. As the human ship prepared to leave, Talvesh sent an emergency transmission to the Galactic Council. Priority alert. Humans do not follow our understanding of physics. They make physics follow them. Recommend immediate upgrade of threat classification. In the distance, Captain Park's voice came over the radio. Friendly and helpful. Glad we could help. Call us anytime you need assistance. Safe travels. The deep chambers beneath the Galactic Council building had never hosted an emergency session this urgent. Council members from 47 different species gathered in the circular hall, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, hums, and telepathic whispers. At the center of the room, the holographic display showed a simple image that filled every being present with dread. A small blue planet orbiting an ordinary yellow star. Medical counselor Zethram stepped forward, her translucent form shimmering with nervous energy. In her many centuries of service, she had dealt with plagues that wiped out entire systems and biological weapons that could kill billions. Nothing had prepared her for what she was about to report. The incident occurred on Kepler 442b, she began, her voice echoing through the chamber. Human colonists were accidentally exposed to the Crimson Death during a routine mining operation. A collective shudder passed through the assembly. The Crimson Death was perhaps the most feared biological weapon in galactic history. Created by an extinct warrior species, it killed any known lifeform within hours by dissolving cellular structure at the molecular level. There was no cure, no treatment, no hope of survival once exposed. The initial report indicated total loss of the human colony. Zethram continued. Standard protocol dictated immediate quarantine of the entire system. However, 3 days later, we received another transmission from the colony. She activated the holographic display, showing a cheerful human face. The being identified himself as Dr. Han, Chief Medical Officer of the mining colony. His voice was casual and friendly, as if he were discussing the weather rather than a catastrophic biological disaster. Hi there. Just wanted to update you on our little medical situation here. Turns out the Crimson Death is actually pretty interesting from an immunological perspective. Our bodies figured out how to turn it into a beneficial symbiotic organism. We are all feeling great now, and as a bonus, we seem to be immune to pretty much every disease in your medical database. Thanks for the concern, though the chamber fell silent. Zethram's hands shook as she pulled up the medical data. Our analysis confirms their claim. The humans did not just survive exposure to the Crimson Death. Their immune systems learned to weaponize the pathogen against other diseases. They have become living biological weapons capable of immunity to any known threat. Technology Counselor Vexenum rose from his seat, his metallic body clicking with nervous energy. As the Council's leading expert on communication technology, he had overseen the development of faster-than-light messaging systems that connected the entire galaxy. What the humans had accomplished made his life's work seem primitive. The communication incident occurred aboard the human research vessel Discovery, he reported. Captain Song was attempting to contact their home base using standard quantum entanglement protocols. However, their communication array had been damaged during a meteor strike. Vexenum activated a recording that showed the interior of the human ship. A female engineer named Min was working on what appeared to be kitchen equipment, connecting wires between food preparation devices and the ship's main computer. Unable to use proper equipment, the humans improvised. Vexenum continued. They modified their food heating devices, appliances designed to cook meals into a faster-than-light communication network. They call it microwave networking. Recording showed Min successfully establishing contact with Earth using nothing but kitchen appliances and spare wire. The transmission was not only successful but carried more data than the most advanced galactic communication systems. Our best scientists have been studying their methodology for weeks, Vexenum admitted. We still cannot understand how they made quantum entanglement work with cooking equipment. They have achieved communication speeds that exceed our theoretical maximum by a factor of 10. The final presentation came from Chief Science Counselor Kexter, whose species had mastered space travel when most of the galaxy was still primitive. His 4 eyes showed deep worry as he addressed the assembly. The matter creation incident is the most disturbing of all, he announced. It occurred on the human vessel Endeavour when Captain Wang attempted to improve their beverage preparation system. The display showed security footage from inside the human ship. Captain Wang was working on a small machine designed to brew coffee, making minor adjustments to improve the taste. Suddenly, exotic particles began forming in the air around the device, coalescing into a new form of stable matter that glowed with soft blue light. The humans accidentally created a previously unknown form of exotic matter during routine food preparation. Kexter explained, they have named it coffeenium and are now using it to power their ship's engines. This substance is more efficient than any fuel source in our databases. The recording showed Captain Wang's reaction to creating new matter. He took a sip of his coffee, declared it much better than before, and returned to his normal duties as if fundamentally altering the laws of physics was a minor accomplishment. War Marshal Kexter of the Zephyrian Empire stood slowly, his battle-scarred carapace gleaming under the chamber lights. His species had conquered systems and fought wars across the galaxy for millennia. He had never encountered a threat like this. Honored counselors, he growled, his voice carrying the authority of countless victories. These incidents prove that humans represent an extinctional-level threat to galactic civilization. They do not simply break our laws of science, they casually rewrite reality itself while making food and drinks. He gestured toward the images of smiling humans going about their daily activities, completely unaware of the chaos they were causing. I propose immediate military intervention, Krexter declared. 300 of our finest warships stand ready to neutralize this threat before they accidentally destroy the universe. The vote was unanimous. Every species, from the peaceful plant beings of Andera to the ancient energy creatures of the Void Nebula, agreed that humanity must be stopped. The largest military fleet in galactic history began its journey toward the Sol system. Admiral Vexener stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display with the confidence of someone who had conquered 17 star systems. Behind him stretched the largest military fleet in galactic history, 300 warships from every major species, armed with weapons that could crack planets and shields that had never been penetrated. He had fought the Andromeda Wars, survived the siege of Kepler Prime, and led the final assault that ended the Void War. In his 2 centuries of military service, he had never lost a battle. Today would be no different. "Drop out of hyperspace on my mark," he commanded. "All weapons charged, shields at maximum. Prepare for immediate combat engagement." The fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, expecting to find a primitive world defended by crude nuclear weapons and basic energy shields. Instead, Admiral Vexener's tactical officer immediately began reporting readings that made no sense. "Sir, we are being scanned by technology I do not recognize," the officer reported, his voice tense. "The scans are somehow penetrating our hyperspace signature from 3 days ago." Before Vexener could respond, his communication array lit up with an incoming transmission. The signal was impossibly clear and arrived faster than their own quantum communicators could manage. A cheerful human face appeared on his main screen. The being had dark hair and friendly eyes, and wore what appeared to be formal diplomatic clothing. Behind him, Admiral Vexener could see what looked like a space station, but it was unlike any military installation he had ever encountered. It looked more like a civilian meeting center. "Greetings and welcome to the Sol system," the human announced with genuine enthusiasm. "I am Ambassador Yoon of the United Earth Government. We detected your fleet's approach about 3 days ago, and have prepared a wonderful reception for you." Admiral Vexener felt his first stab of unease. "Impossible," he muttered to his tactical officer. "We were in hyperspace. Nothing can detect ships traveling faster than light." The human continued speaking as if he had heard the comment. "We know you have traveled a long way to meet us, so we have prepared cultural exchanges, technology demonstrations, and tours of our home system. Please follow the navigation beacon to Earth's orbital platform. We have prepared guest quarters for all species in your fleet." "Sir," whispered his communications officer, "they knew we were coming. They have been preparing for our arrival for days." Ambassador Yoon's image smiled warmly. "Oh, and we noticed some inefficiencies in your shield generators during your approach. We have prepared some upgrade packages that should improve your defensive capabilities significantly. The technical specifications are being transmitted to your fleet now." Admiral Vexener watched in growing horror as his ship's artificial intelligence began analyzing the incoming data. Within minutes, the AI confirmed what he feared most. The human modifications would increase shield effectiveness by over 400%. The upgrades were so advanced that his best engineers would need months just to understand how they worked. "How?" he asked out loud, not caring that his crew could hear the fear in his voice. "How did they analyze our shield technology just by watching us travel through space?" His tactical officer looked up from his console, his face pale. "Admiral, they have not just analyzed our shields. According to these specifications, they have also improved our weapon systems, engine efficiency, and life support capabilities. They seem to understand our technology better than we do." Admiral Vexener had commanded fleets against enemies who fought with honor, enemies who were driven by hatred, and enemies who killed for resources. He had never faced an enemy who greeted him with friendship and immediately began helping him improve his weapons. "Sir," his science officer reported, "I am reading massive energy signatures from their orbital stations. The power levels are off our scales, but they are not weapons. They appear to be manufacturing facilities and research laboratories." Ambassador Yoon spoke again, his voice filled with excitement. "We are particularly looking forward to meeting the Zephyrian Empire representatives. We have studied your military engineering and have some ideas for making your armor more effective. We also think you might enjoy our Earth music. We have prepared a concert featuring symphonies from around our world." The Admiral's war-hardened mind struggled to process what was happening. The humans were not threatening them. They were not even defending themselves. They were throwing a party. Admiral whispered his communications officer, "They are transmitting detailed technical manuals for technologies we have never seen before, faster than light engines that do not require exotic matter, medical devices that can regrow lost limbs, weapons that are more powerful than our best planetary bombardment systems." "Are they trying to show us their military strength?" Admiral Vexener asked. "No, sir. came the reply. They are trying to give us these technologies as gifts. Ambassador Yoon just said he hopes these improvements will help us explore the galaxy more safely. Admiral Vexener stared at the blue-green planet ahead, where beings capable of casually rewriting the laws of physics were excited to meet new friends. His fleet of 300 warships, the most powerful military force ever assembled, was being welcomed like honored guests at a celebration. By the void, he muttered, his voice barely audible. They are not even trying to be threatening. This is just how they exist. He realized with growing terror that humanity had not prepared for war because they did not see his fleet as a threat. They saw it as an opportunity to make new friends and share their incredible technology. Sir, his tactical officer asked quietly, what are your orders? Admiral Vexener looked at his fleet of ships that could destroy planets, then at the humans, offering to improve them out of kindness. For the first time in his military career, he had no idea what to do. Accept their invitation, he said finally, and pray to whatever gods are listening that they stay friendly. 6 months after the failed military intervention, the Galactic Council chambers looked completely different. Where once stood rows of formal seats arranged by species hierarchy, now there were comfortable mixed seating areas where beings from different worlds sat together, sharing ideas and laughing at jokes translated through universal communicators. The center of it all stood Dr. J, former xenobiology professor from Seoul University, who now held the most important diplomatic position in galactic history. She wore simple Earth clothing and carried a tablet computer that contained more revolutionary scientific discoveries than the Council had seen in the past 1,000 years. Council Prime Kethfosh called the session to order, his ancient voice carrying across the chamber. The human interaction protocols are now officially in effect, he announced. All technological development, military exercises, and theoretical research must first be submitted to the Human Advisory Committee for safety evaluation. The new protocols had been born from necessity. In just 6 months, humanity had accidentally revolutionized 17 different fields of science, solved 12 theoretical physics problems that had puzzled the galaxy's greatest minds for millennia, and created for new forms of matter, while trying to improve their coffee machines. Dr. J stepped forward with her characteristic, cheerful smile. We are really excited to help everyone, she announced to the assembled representatives of 47 species. Just remember to ask us before trying anything that might be dangerous. We have learned that what seems impossible to you usually just needs a different approach. Behind her, the newly constructed human section of the council chambers buzzed. With constant activity, Captain Nam worked with a team of Kelthari engineers, showing them how to revolutionize their transportation network using modified gaming computers. Engineer Che sat with Vorthok scientists, explaining how dark matter could be used to solve their energy crisis, using principles discovered while trying to make better coffee. The sight still made many council members nervous. Humans had a disturbing tendency to solve galaxy-spanning problems during their lunch breaks, usually while working on completely unrelated projects. Status report, please, requested Kethvash, trying to keep his voice steady. Dr. J consulted her tablet. Everything is going wonderfully. This week we helped upgrade defense systems for 12 different species, solved the Zephyrian Empire's supply line problems using modified food delivery algorithms, and Min figured out how to use dark matter as a coffee additive. The universe is going to be so much more efficient now. She paused, noticing the worried expressions around the chamber. Oh, and we accidentally created a stable wormhole while testing a new microwave design. But do not worry, we labeled it clearly and put safety barriers around it. It should only transport kitchen utensils to the Andromeda Galaxy. A collective shudder passed through the assembled beings. Humanity's casual relationship with fundamental forces of nature continued to terrify the galaxy. Even when their intentions were purely helpful, Ambassador Talmesh of the Regilian Confederation raised one of his 6 hands. Dr. J, our scientists are concerned about the quantum stabilizer designs your people shared. They work perfectly, but we cannot understand how they function. That is totally normal. Dr. J replied brightly, human engineering often works on principles that seem impossible to other species. We call it practical magic. If it works and helps people, we do not worry too much about why it works. War Marshal Krexter, now serving as the human military liaison, spoke up from his position near the human section. His role had changed dramatically since the failed invasion. Instead of fighting humans, he now worked with them to improve galactic defense systems. The human military advisors have completed their analysis of our fleet capabilities, he reported. They have designed improvements that will make our ships 3 times more effective, while also making them completely non-lethal to civilian populations. How is that possible? Asked Science Counselor Vexenum. Captain Song, who was visiting from the Earth Defense Force, answered casually. We just made the weapons smart enough to distinguish between military targets and non-combat. Also, we added healing systems that repair any accidental damage. It was pretty easy once we figured out how to make the targeting computers empathetic. The idea of empathetic weapon systems made several species question everything they thought they knew about military technology. Only humans would create weapons that felt bad about causing harm and tried to fix any damage they caused. Dr. J noticed the stunned silence and tried to be reassuring. Do not worry. We will be very careful. With reality, probably, the word probably sent waves of concern through the chamber. When humans said they would probably be careful, it usually meant they were about to accidentally discover something that would change the fundamental nature of existence. Council Prime Kethfash cleared his throat. Is there anything else we should know about current human projects? Well, Dr. J said thoughtfully. The research team on Luna Base thinks they might have figured out how to communicate with parallel universes using modified radio equipment, and the engineering crew on Mars Colony accidentally created a time-stable quantum loop while fixing their greenhouse systems. But these are just small side projects. The council members exchanged glances filled with existential dread. Humanity's small side projects had a tendency to reshape galactic civilization. In the far reaches of space, the UES Horizon continued its exploration mission, its sensors detecting strange quantum signatures from an unexplored galaxy. Captain Shin made a note to ask the council if they would like humanity to investigate. After all, what could possibly go wrong with humans exploring entirely new regions of the universe? The galaxy held its collective breath and hoped that humanity's friendly curiosity would not accidentally unravel the fabric of reality itself.